learners, welcome to this session on contracts in event management. My name is Vipul Pandey. I am the managing director of an agency called Workaholics Event Solutions Private Limited. We are based out of Delhi and primarily do corporate events for our clients in domains of events, exhibitions, activations, and conferences. So today in this session, we will talk about how contracts are important while doing events for our clients. So let me share my screen with you. So contracts are a integral part of any event management learnings, that you do, any event that you do. And here we will start with objective of a contract. See, event, as you all know, is a service. We are not selling any product which is right there in front of a customer. We are selling them a dream. So while we sell a dream, every person has a different understanding of what they are finally getting. If you are making a Taj Mahal will be 10 feet big or 100 feet big. It will be in white color or gray color. It will be made in wood or thermocol or marble. So everybody has different expectations. So setting up a contract is very important so that all the parties who are working on the project, they are on the same page. Because everything right from the material specification to sizes to delivery timelines to payment terms to whether payment will be made in check or cash in 10 days or 20 days, along with any other aspect that you think you might have to counter while the duration of the activity the project is on, when it is still under construction, because many a times these projects run into months or maybe years also. So putting together a contract and identifying all the things that can go right or wrong and terms that you want to take care of while entering into the business is very important. So we will talk about the components of a contract. So first of all, it is important that we should identify the scope of work, that what is the other partner is supposed to deliver. As I said, the material specification, the sizes, the timelines, whether it has to be done in this way or that way, so that scope of work identifying scope of work is the first thing. Unless there is a scope of work clearly identified, you cannot go to level 2. So one must have exact sizes, samples, materials, maybe 3D designs, architect drawings, so that understanding is clear between the person who's giving the business and the person who's taking the business. Second comes delivery timelines. Every work that is given to any of the partners should also have timelines as to when the work will start. By when do you think they will finish these 25% of the job? By when they think they will finish 50% of the job? By when the complete work will be finished and given? It is important to talk about timelines because all the projects that you give or undertake have to be basis timelines. It cannot be that you've given a project, say, to create a marriage hall or a marriage pandal to a tent wala, and the marriage is after 4 days, and instead of 4 days he's saying, boss, I need 10 days. So if he's not able to meet your timeline, then all the discussion, all the conversation goes for a toss. So it is important that we first discuss timelines with them. Say if the marriage is after 4 days, so ideally we should ask them to deliver in 3 days, so that 1 day is backup. Backups are always important. We should never stretch our contracts in delivery timelines till the very next, very last day. It is important to have a buffer of 1 or 2 days depending upon the nature of the project, so that God forbid anything goes wrong, then you have enough time to get into the plan too. So if you are say your marriage is on day 4 and the tent wala is giving you the tent ready only in the evening 6 o'clock, and 7 o'clock guests are supposed to come, then this is too short a time. If he is not meeting his time and if he gets delayed or something goes wrong, then you cannot do anything else and you will get stuck in that situation. On the other hand, if you will ask him that, okay, if our guests are coming on day 4 7 p.m., we want our tent to be ready on day 3 by 6 p.m. So in this way you have 24 hours. to do anything that you want once everything is put together. So if you don't like the color of the cloth or the drapes or the seats or the sofas, you can always ask them to change. So if you have time, then anything is possible. But if you are not having time, your guests are coming at 7 o'clock and he's delivering you at 6 p.m. on the same day, then you cannot do anything. So timelines is important. One should identify and one should put them in documents so that there is no deviation from either party. Then come payment terms. Now payment terms are, after scope of work and delivery timelines, are the third most important aspect, because everybody is working for money. The person who's taken your job is for money. And while the project is in execution, there are instances when they have to invest money. They have to buy raw material, they have to pay to their laborers, they have to pay to their technicians. So unless they have enough money, they will not be able to meet your timelines. If they are short of money, they are not able to procure material, or they are not able to engage manpower and pay them on that evening or whatever they timelines they have agreed, then your project will get hampered. So it's very important that payment terms are defined. And in case you have agreed, you are thinking that you will pay them after, say, 1 week of uh, your event, whether it's a corporate event or a marriage event, a social event, and then the person asks you on that very day that, boss, give me my money, otherwise I will not be able to finish the job. So you will get stuck. If your event is at 8 p.m. on day 4, and on day 4 6 p.m. he says, boss, give me all my money, and you are not planning it, you were not ready for it, you were not having enough funds, so unnecessarily it will go to a situation which is not healthy. Because till the time you pay money, your setup will not be ready, and the setup is not ready, then how you will be handling your guests. So it is important that all the payment terms are discussed and agreed upon and mentioned in the contract, so there is no dispute later on. We have often seen, our experience, that till the time things are not in black and white, it is very difficult to argue later on. Somebody will say, boss, I had agreed for 1 month payment term. Somebody will say, I had agreed for 1 week of payment term. Somebody will say, we have agreed for 6 months of payment term. So there is no point putting anything in open. It's always suggested that things should be put in black and white, so that there is no conflict later on. Then fourth is the penalty clause. Though when we enter into a contract with any of the suppliers, we try and we're looking at getting business done from them, and we are hoping for the best, that we have given this job to him, and as per our specifications, our timelines, the person will be delivering us on time. But unfortunately, what happens is that as the work progresses, as the project progresses, there are times when you think that this thing is not coming up to a mark. You feel that the quality of material which you had discussed is not being implemented, or it is not coming out the way you want it. The people who are working on the event are not able to do justice, or in the final delivery you find some fault in the delivery. The delivery was not on time, was not of good quality, or had some security safety issue, or whatever that can be. So it is important that you foresee areas where you think things can go wrong, and it is advisable to put them into the contract as penalty clause, so that your supplier is aware that till the time they will not satisfy us on the deliverables, or meet the quality specifications, or meet the timelines, they might get penalized by not getting their complete payment. And this is one strong deterrent which will ensure that your contractor and his team is not taking your project lightly. Because sometimes these project contractors, they take up multiple projects. So your project is running in one area, other project is running other area, he is not sending material to you on time, or team to you on time, or to save cost, he has offered you substandard material. Anything is possible, because remember, we are in a service industry, and only time when we see the product is when it's ready. Before it is ready, even 1 day before, 2 day before, 3 day before, you are not able to judge how is it coming, whether it will be on time or not, whether it will be of the right quality or not. So to ensure that in case things go wrong, you are able to speak to your supplier, and there is a penalty clause. This penalty clause ensures that, number one, your supplier is careful enough and he will not do things in the wrong way. Number two, in case if he does things which were beyond the scope of work or less than the scope of work or not in the right quality, then you can penalize him accordingly. And fifth point here is jurisdiction, because if there is a dispute, then what jurisdiction will apply? Sometimes what happens is that supplier is from Bombay and you are in Delhi. So it is always important to mention the jurisdiction area, for example, in Delhi, in your home city, where it is convenient for you to file a case in court and then address, so that there is absolute clarity, not at the time of litigation, but even before you are entering into a contract. And here, whoever is giving out business or putting other contract has to safeguard in interest in thinking or visualizing whatever worst can happen. See, if everything goes as per plan, then maybe contracts have a very little role to play, because everybody knows that this was the scope of work, this was the delivery quality, this was the timeline, this was the money. Then there is no need to maybe people think it is not important to have a contract only or have a detailed contract. But contract saves you when things go wrong, when some unforeseen challenges come, when some unforeseen contingencies, problems come, and then you can reach out to this contract to ensure that basis your agreement on the terms, your delivery, what you were supposed to get, is not getting hampered. And in case if there is any compromise on delivery, then your partner is adequately penalized. You are safeguarding your interest. So whenever you draft a contract, it is said, hope for the best and prepare for the worst. So contracts are to be defined for keeping in mind that worst can happen and you are prepared and you are ready for it. Next, we will talk about different kind of skills which are required to put together a contract. So, contract is there, but how are you putting it together? Is it done the right way? So again, taking from what we have discussed earlier, project understanding has to be clear, because unless you are not defining the scope of work currently, there is no point. You cannot then contest it, or you cannot kind of make out whether the delivery was appropriately done or not. So project understanding is important, and it should ensure that you are putting together the scope of work correctly. Then come negotiation skills. Negotiation skills are one of the important aspects while putting together a contract. And when we say negotiation, it does not only mean the money, but it also means all the terms and conditions that are being put together. As we usually say that money saved is money earned. So while we are putting together a contract with our clients or with our vendors, negotiation skills play an important role. When we are negotiating a contract with our clients, then we try and ensure that we have maximum terms included to safeguard our interest. We are able to generate maximum revenue out of the project. So not only we are expected to negotiate and get the project closed at a higher cost, but also while putting together the other aspects of the contract, you should be able to safeguard your interest in case things go wrong. Similarly, while we give business to others, negotiation skills come in picture to ensure that we are able to save money as much as possible while we delegate or sublet our projects to our suppliers. So, right negotiation with them, getting the right pricing, getting the right terms in terms of the timelines, quality, in terms of the penalty clause, everything comes under negotiation skills. Now, thirdly, we have to clearly identify demarcation, role, timelines, and quality parameters, because unless you don't identify them and you don't put them together in a contract later on, in terms of in case the failure in delivery happens or the quality is not up to mark, then you cannot go back and argue in the court of law unless your terms are appropriately mentioned. So be very careful and identify the roles. What is the role of the party who's giving the contract? What is the role of the person who's taking the contract? If there are any third parties also involved who have a role to play, then you must identify their roles also. that this job will be done by us, this job will be done by you, and this job will be done by them, and together three of us have to complete this project by this time. So it is important that roles are clearly defined. Delivery timelines. Now, when we say delivery timelines, it should not be just the end product. We cannot give a contract to someone and go back home and sleep that boss he will deliver on time. No, we have to constantly have a check on it. So for example, you can divide the delivery timelines into, say, 25% of the work will be completed by this time, 50% will be completed by this time, 75% completed on this day and this time. Because this way you are able to check the progress or any delay that might happen in your product right before it actually is supposed to get delivered. So you are not getting a surprise, you're not getting a shock. You already knew that if your project has to get ready by, say, 10th of a month, then half of the job has to get over by, say, 5th or 6th of the month. And if it is not getting ready by that time, that is when you can raise an alarm. You can ask your supplier to maybe add more people from his team, or do whatever, maybe extra shifts to complete the work. And worst come, if all that is not happening, then you have enough time to change your supplier also. So anything can go wrong, and we must prepare ourselves, plan for all the contingencies. And this all this will ensure that even if we are not getting support from our particular supplier, our project is still not getting hampered. And then lastly, everything has to be done in the appropriate legal way. You cannot write things, but if they are not clear, they are not in legal language, and when you go to the court of law, then you will not be able to take reference from them. So it is important that you first have a basic understanding as to what the law requires when a contract gets into litigation. Or else you can maybe take support from your friends or a professional lawyer to put together things in the right legal language. Because as I said earlier, that if things go right, then maybe contract is of not that important, because everybody knows what is to be done, they deliver it and it's over. But when things go haywire, when the deliveries are delayed, when the quality parameters are not met, when there are other unforeseen challenges that come, that is when these contracts can save your organization from a big business loss that you might face in case if you are not planned well. So to summarize our session, contracts are act as a as a lifeguard, as a savior when things go wrong. So please ensure that whenever you are entering into a critical agreement with your partners over a critical delivery or a large project, always have a contract ready. Be clear, why are you making a contract? So your scope of work should be clear, your delivery timeline should be clear, your material specification should be clear, your payment terms should be clear. So once everything is in place, then you can focus on other important aspects. Because remember, hiring a supplier for one project is just one part of the job which an event manager has to do. There are multiple suppliers happening, from that, depending on the magnitude of the event, from maybe one or two suppliers in one event to maybe 100 suppliers in another one. And many a time the geographical area is so huge that it gets difficult to physically keep tab. So one event is happening in Mumbai, one is happening in Bangalore, what is happening in Calcutta or Hyderabad. So whenever we are, it's not that there is an event happening in a hotel and we are right there, we can see everything, we are present ourselves. No, that cannot be taken for granted. There can be case where we are not able to see the how the preparations are going, we are not able to oversee how the work is happening in the workshop, or maybe sometimes in the final event also you have some other project and you cannot travel, you cannot go. So ensure that all these things that can go wrong are addressed in the contract, and your supplier is well aware that this is what they have to give, these are the timelines, these are the modes and the terms of payments, these are the penalties that they might have to face in case if they are not able to deliver on time. And in case if it has to finally go to the law, then this is a jurisdiction process that they have to follow. So putting together the right contract saves you from things that can go wrong. It is very important to enter every agreement or contract in writing which saves you and your organization from a potential loss in some event that you may have never ever thought in your life. Any damage that may come to your event through natural or man-made causes or through some act of government. So all these things will be your insurance and will ensure that while you work on a project, your graph is always going higher and higher. The quality of your work is increasing by every project. Workload on you and your core team decreases with a right contract, and you are able to make enough profits for your organization to grow like this in times to come. With this, we end this session for now. For any further inputs, you can write to me at vipul@workaholicsindia.com, and I will be more than happy to share further insights into how important contracting is and how it can be done. I wish you all the best in your quest to become a good event manager. This industry is growing exponentially, and we need good people who can come become a part of our teams and help us take this industry to next level. I am sure people who are listening to this session today are, we'll get our future leaders from among you only. So all the best and see you soon once you become an event manager. Take care. Bye bye.